So I own this 2007 Honda Fit, and every time I open up YouTube, it seems like there's a new video getting recommended to me, telling me why this is the best car ever made. Like, hey, I already bought the car, YouTube. What do you want me to do, buy a second one? I got kinda excited when I saw this video, and all I saw was the Honda Jazz/Fit Mark I. Avoid this car. I thought I'd finally found a negative video on the Honda Fit, but then it turns out the full title was Avoid this car until you watch this. And the video's just another guy telling me how awesome the Fit is. Like, come on, I already know! So if you're like me and fed up with everyone telling you that cars don't get much better than this, stop watching this video right now. Because to be completely honest, I don't disagree. It's hard to beat the Honda Fit. So, is the Honda Fit the best car ever made? Well, I don't know if I would go quite that far, but it's no fluke that its design has remained relatively unchanged since its inception in 2001, and that more or less every modern hatchback draws clear inspiration from the Fit. In this press release from 2006, Honda claimed that the 2007 Honda Fit is designed to take the subcompact market into new territory, with its highly refined and ultra-adaptable functionality, sporty driving demeanor, and high levels of standard safety equipment. Well, yes, this is a press release intended to drum up hype over a new car. It's clear that Honda was proud of what they'd made, and with good reason. This is an incredibly versatile car.
The Fit offers an insane amount of versatility, and was one of the first four-door hatchbacks of its kind. Compared to the competition at the time, namely the Toyota Yaris, the Fit was on a whole other level of practicality. It offered about the same amount of power, but could comfortably seat 4, and uncomfortably seat 5. And thanks to the magic seats,
trademarked and registered,
you could use your Fit as a cargo van, put a mattress in the back and go camping, or fold the front seat flat and have a little nap while waiting for the ferry. It's an incredibly useful car, especially for its size. The 1.5-liter VTEC motor, L15A1, which was the only motor offered in North America, makes an astounding 109 horsepower at 5,800 RPM. And 105 pound-feet of torque at 4,000 RPM. With a red line of 65 grand, that means that, especially when paired with the in-town city driving gearing, it's hard to keep the Fit on power, and hard acceleration can feel a little sluggish. While VTEC is proudly stamped on the top of the plastic engine cover, you'll be hard-pressed to figure out when it kicks in, and I've been unable to find an answer online, so I guess we'll never know. That being said, it does feel quick in town, where it was designed to be driven. The car is happiest when you rev up to 3 grand before shifting, and likes to cruise at 2.5 grand, which, as someone who prior to this had been dailying a 2001 Honda Insight where you rarely rev over 2 grand, this took a little bit of getting used to. But if you do that, the car will quickly and happily get up to driving speed, and will feel good doing so. The second to third gear shift feels particularly satisfying, not just because of this incredibly crisp and precise shifter, but also because you wind up right back on power in third gear. It feels great. Soichiro Honda, I'm sure I mispronounced that, famously said, "Without racing, there is no Honda." So how does the Fit do on the track? Well, when I bought this car, I'd done next to no research. I just knew I wanted something more practical than my Insight, something I wouldn't need to care about as much, and something that would be reliable, with parts that don't require me to donate blood in order to afford them. Insight. Something like my old EK Civic hatch. If it also happened to be fun to drive, that would be a plus. So when I took this car out for its first day of autocross, I threw on some old racing slicks that I had laying around and didn't expect much. I mostly just thought it would be funny to throw a Fit on slicks around the track, but much to my surprise, the car actually handled quite well. And while I wasn't competitive against the majority of the Miatas or track-built Mustangs, I was having a blast, and faster than almost all of my front-wheel drive competition, including a 9th generation supercharged Civic. If I'd done some research, I probably would have been less surprised, as in order to allow for the flat loading floor and folding seats, the Fit features an incredibly rigid unibody, with 36% of it built out of high tensile strength steel. This not only helps make the Fit a safe car, but means there is little to no body flex on the track. Now, suspension travel is another story, and the city gearing is definitely not ideal for track use. I constantly find myself right in between first and second gear during autocross. The flat loading floor didn't just require a rigid body to pull off, it also meant relocating the gas tank underneath the front seats. This does admittedly somewhat affect the footwell comfort of the passenger, but also means that the majority of the car's weight is over the drive wheels, creating better traction in adverse driving scenarios, and allowing there to be more weight placed in the rear before it starts affecting handling, which is handy if you're wanting to use this as a cargo vehicle. The one trade-off is that the gas tank is fairly small, meaning that while this car is good on gas, it doesn't wind up really feeling like it is, as you'll still be heading to the pump just as often. Not that any car feels good on gas for me anymore after dailying a first-gen Insight for 4 years. Oh, I've been spoiled. One of the only things I did know about this car before buying it was what I'd learned from the regular car reviews video, and that was that they leak. Apparently they leak like crazy, but mine doesn't. This is the most watertight car I own. My Insight might as well be a convertible with how much water it lets in. The smoker windows in the Rabbit don't seal, and my race cars don't have windows. Granted, there is clearly a bit of extra epoxy along the hatch to stop it from leaking, but that was a Honda certified warranty repair. Maybe not the most graceful fix, but it works. Other issues that I've learned about since owning the car include the tendency for the ignition coils to fail, which is unfortunate as there is one per cylinder in this car, that the spark plugs may need to be replaced earlier than anticipated as they can fail and cause a minor misfire, often in conjunction with the ignition coils, and that the wheel studs kinda suck and will easily shear off or bind. Due to the design of the door locks, they will often pool up with water, which can sometimes freeze, making it impossible to enter your car. Thankfully, the hatch lock doesn't have this issue, so worst case scenario, you can always crawl in through the back. The sun visors on my car won't go up all the way, but thankfully they don't impede your vision. I honestly didn't even realize this until I'd already owned the car for a couple weeks. Personally, I find the wheel to be a little too large in diameter and thick for my liking. Especially in performance scenarios, it can be difficult to find a good hand position and maintain a solid grip on the wheel. But for in-town driving, there's nothing wrong with it. Other than that, it maybe isn't the prettiest. Oh, and the red paint fades like crazy. You'd be forgiven for thinking this car was some sort of pink, but nope, it was red at some point in time, as the bumpers will let you know. While the clear coat has held up fine on the majority of the car, it's peeled on almost all of the plastic pieces, which isn't really that big of a deal. Plastic isn't going to rust on you. But none of these issues are all that major, and replacing spark plugs and ignition coils is a pretty simple task, even if it is made slightly more difficult since the engine is mounted backwards with the spark plugs being against the firewall rather than towards the front of the engine bay. The engine bay is also very compact, but you likely won't be needing to do more than maybe change out those spark plugs and do an oil change. And doing an oil change on this car is very easy. Everything is laid out nicely to avoid any messes in the process. Something that Honda did not do with the Integra.
All in all, this is just a fantastically well-built little car that provides an insane amount of practicality for its size, and can be pretty fun too. If you're looking for a good daily that needs to tick all the boxes, it's hard to find something that will leave you feeling satisfied in as many departments as the Fit does. Thanks for watching. Go buy a Fit.